Okay, what's going on here? Hot day in Dallas Fort Worth area, hot day in Texas, hot day a lot of places. Um, I, let's see, I purchased um, Power Director. I think that's what it's called. Or is it CyberLink? I don't know. Anyway, I purchased it. Uh, I'm paying so much a month, so if I decide I don't like it, it has a whole bunch of things that I could need for copying the screen, editing videos, editing audio, doing all that kind of stuff. But so far, and I just installed it, I don't know, an hour or so, well longer than that because they had like 5 or 6 different things in install, But just everything, everything is too slow. I mean, when I try to move something, when I do something, it's just, so we'll have to I rebooted the computer. That didn't seem to help. I was having high hopes for it. I'm not really having high hopes for it right now because I can't think what I could do to uh, make it work better. But it may just be me. I haven't read all the instructions on it yet. But I haven't. I don't know. The other thing is, well, you saw the video on that probably, on that Clip Champ. And that's a Windows program. Anyway, I'm paying for that. I signed up for both of them, for both these different, things today. Money going out. Computers are working good, and Manicam is working good right now. Cross your fingers. I managed to. Sometimes I have difficulty with. I hooked up Sound Blaster, and I have the Sound Blaster 4. I think, what is it, XX4 or something, SX4 or something like that. And it seems to be working right now. But it's one of those that has a whole bunch of, where's my other thing here that, oh, here it is, yeah. This thing was like $24. It's a sound, card, USB, and it works well. I mean, it works well. So, but maybe I need to spend a bunch of time with the regular Sound Blaster. I see they have a new thing. So I'm using the X4 and the X5, but it's really neat looking. It's $250 though. That's when I already have a stack of Sound Blaster devices, and then others that that are sound, like this one that was $24, which works. Every time I hook it up, it just works and does what it's supposed to. I know you're saying, well, that's what you should use, My son's in pretty good shape, has been for the last week or so. He went to the doctor the other day. He has to go back in a few days. I had a hell of a time. They want a printout of the utility bill here or whatever so that he can turn that in. And I think I need a new printer. Yeah. Yeah, but this has actually worked the last couple of times that I use it, this Canon. But it's not dependable. I had a hell of a time So I'm very comfortable. I've moved, something over here. I've moved some stuff around. So, and I've really, things are getting a little better organized. I kind of want to wait to tell you. None of you will care, but I've got a poster coming that actually was an advertising poster, and I'm thinking it's going to fit right there. And like I said, I don't think, I'll go ahead and tell you. I worked for years for the KW Dart Truck Company in Kansas City, Missouri. And I've mentioned this before. We made the gigantic trucks. The factory right next to us was KW Kenworth, and we were, a Kenworth Dart. Same company, owning both. In fact, I had the opportunity I started it on midnight shift, building gigantic truck. Oh, hey, here you go. Finally have something within reach. Here it is. Here is the small version of it, and I worked in the body shop, and we built this part. Now these trucks were humongous. I mean, gigantic trucks. I mentioned this before because I think it's cute. My grandson, of course he's grown now, but he was sort of grown then. He came through here or whatever. Well, he lived with me for a while. We lived together with my son Ken. We lived in Miami, for a little bit. Then we came here, and he lived with me here, and then eventually his mother moved from Sweden here, and she got an apartment behind this, so he was living, of course, with her for a while. Anyway, he saw this, and he said, "Why do you have a toy truck?" And I said, "No, I worked for this company for years, and I worked where we made the body, for this." "No, you didn't." And he said, "No, you didn't." I said, "Yes, I did." I said, "Why would I lie about something like that? I'm not saying I was a space astronaut or, anything like that. I was a welder building truck, "No, you didn't." There's something about me, well, when I'm extremely honest. I mean, there's some things, of course, everybody, some things you keep, private. Maybe if you have a family member with a medical problem or something like that, some things you keep private. Nobody's business, And especially if you're on YouTube, because you're going to have people there's some people out there, a certain percentage, I don't know what it is, who just look around for somebody that they can screw with. Now, it's kind of hard to screw with me because I don't really fucking care, And the other thing is that I've been really nice to everybody. Anyway, oh yeah. Especially the one hospital I worked at for 10 years. I could see the hospital from where I lived easily. And everybody was like family there. It was a small hospital. We were all like family. We knew each other and all that kind of stuff. But now I didn't tell. I mean, there was a lot of stuff I just didn't. Never occurred to me to tell anybody that. I worked at a hospital where we had two security. The first hospital I worked at, we had two security officers shot in the line of duty. One, and then about a year later, the other was shot and killed. Second hospital, a security officer was shot. I'd already signed in to go to work, but I gave 2 weeks' notice at the old hospital. And he was shot in the arm by a defective round that a guy tried to rob him. I mentioned Lloyd Akins is his name. I think I did a long video about him, not on that subject, but on others. And anyway, there's we had a female doctor shot and killed there. and many, many years in a parking lot. I was off that day, and that was a shift that I worked. And I usually before, of course you can't be predictable, but usually before I would go off duty, I would make an external, I did the inside stuff and everything, and I also did an external, and that's one of the parking lots that I walked. It was a small parking lot. It was for an apartment building, a small apartment building for the doctors or nursing or whatever. And I, would have walked through, and I would have walked through there. And now I'm not saying that I would have, the guy that shot her was, I guess, a boyfriend, or had been a boyfriend or something, but she was going back to her home country, and he didn't want her to go. And he was from, I don't know if he's from the same country, but he was from a country over that way. Anyway, he sat in the car, and then when she pulled in, he shot and killed her. Now, I'm not saying that I could have made any difference. I would have, walked through that parking lot. And with him sitting in the car, I probably would have gone over, said, "Hi, what's going on? What are you doing?" Something like that. And he said, "I'm waiting for a friend or something." And I said, "Okay, you're probably going on, I mean, unless I saw a gun on it, or unless, but anyway. So a whole bunch of stuff happened in my life, but I didn't tell anybody about these stuff. But at the small hospital that I worked at, which I loved, 10 years out there, or maybe 9, I think at 9, and then I went back for another year after they yanked me out. And but there were some things that I did tell, and it must be something about me, because I've seen this from other people, but especially there I noticed that there'd be like a new nurse coming from, just to relieve somebody at the emergency room, maybe for 3 days or something, because a nurse had to go on vacation or days off or something. Usually they had enough people to cover it there, but occasionally there'd be some, and I'd come in, like they started their shift, the evening shift, 12-hour shifts, they worked 12-hour shifts, but they started an hour before I did. So I'd come in, and they, the new nurse or whatever, the nurses, Virginia or whatever, would say, "Oh, this is the nurse we got working with us tonight, Jim." And then the nurse, I'd say, "Hi, nice to meet you," or something, and the nurse would say, "Yeah, they told me about you." And I said, "What did they tell you?" "That you tell stories." And sometimes, at the beginning I just ignored it, but then finally I'd say, "You mean made-up stories?" "Yeah, made-up stories." I said, "No, I don't do that." "Oh, yeah, you do. They told me." Man, like my grandson, why would somebody make up a story that you were a welder that built trucks? Of course, I worked at other companies as a welder that built trucks. I forget the name of worked several years. Those were the trucks that they haul cases of Coke, or beer or stuff that are in, these, usually in that. You had to wear a hard hat, but I was underneath, and I crawled out from underneath the hard hat, or out from underneath that kind of a truck, took my hat off, and they were beating on the top of the truck, and a gigantic clamp came down, hit me on the top of the head, cut my head open pretty good. So they sent me to a doctor, and he couldn't hear a word I was saying, zilch. So he stitched me up and sent me back to work, and I went home. I had blood all over my, my stuff. Walked in. Darlene didn't, I don't think she said anything. I had to say, "By the way, Darlene, at that time, the wife." But anyway, yeah, I've had people say, There was a guy that um, he was a respiratory therapist at this one small hospital and everything, and he was the nurses and everything were like afraid of him. I mean, not afraid that he was going to, but they didn't want to have to call him to do a blood gas or something like that because. But he had a computer and I had a computer, and that's about the only people in the world that at that small hospital. He had an Apple computer to begin with, and then I had my IBM or what it wouldn't be IBM. What would it be? Whatever it was. Actually, I went through a whole bunch of them. But he also didn't believe some of the stuff that I said. And a couple of things that I told him, I can't repeat them here, but it was like, why would I tell somebody, that's something that you wouldn't want to tell somebody. That one man wouldn't want to tell another man or something. Not that I loved him or something like that, I don't think that, but and I thought, why, I said, yeah, He said, nope. I said, the guy got fired, didn't he? Yeah, he got fired. I said, I mentioned a few other things, reasons that he got fired, and nope. I didn't believe it. Why would I lie about a thing like that? Anyway, I hope this Power Director, or CyberLink, I think it's called CyberLink, I believe. Well, I guess you could see their icons a little bit if I just switch over here. There, you can see them over there. I got a feeling that it's not going to work. And the computer and everything is working good. And I don't want to try to change the configuration of now the program will do like Manicam does, I can have the controls on one monitor here, and the other monitor will be the one that's being recorded and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to make any kind of a change because Manicam is working okay, and other things are working okay. And another person leave a thing about the raccoon, James Blackwood, the raccoon whisperers, another person left. It's weird. I've been doing this stuff since 1982, and I almost never get anybody that I have a problem with. And I'm not having a problem with but another person logged in leaves like a 2-line thing. How dare you say something about Jim's medical problem? Well, that's about all they said about, and I thought, God damn. Him and his wife are talking about it, and I mentioned in the only post that I made about him that, all three of us in the family here have been followers of him and his raccoons, and that I was a fan of his, and I think what it is these people are not, it must be the only thing that they're interested in is maybe a few things, and so they don't go to all these YouTube sites. They don't do a lot maybe with the internet or whatever, and they just don't know how things work. It's not insulting at all for somebody on YouTube to say, hey, there's this old bald-headed guy, he's 82 years old, and he's been doing videos for a long time, and he's something else, and you ought to go check out his site, That's not an insult. And so I'm thinking that these people are some people who, they must like raccoons or cats or something, and that's the only thing they see, and they don't pick up on anything else. So I don't know, but anyway, it looks like President Trump is going to. I don't see how with the things that he has done now, and he continues to do. I don't see how they can just ignore his crimes, high crimes and misdemeanors, treason, everything else. I don't see, because I was one of the people that, not very long ago was saying, I don't want him locking up an ex-president of the United States. That'd make us like one of these third world countries where, they overthrow their president and then they kill him or something, but Trump is doing so much, and he just won't stop, telling people things. He's had access to top secret information, and in fact he stole and kept it for a year or more or longer, and refused to turn it over and lied, I don't see how. I was thinking like a lot of people, and I'm talking news people and everything else, are saying, well, if he's found guilty, I got a piece of a potato chip in my mouth or something. Well, anyway, they were saying, well, confinement, in his golf, palatial golf place or whatever. I think somebody said he owns 100 golf courses around the world. He has his own airplane. I mean, what are you going to do with somebody like that who talks about how great Putin is, and Kim Jong-un of North Korea, and how they're in love with each other? Even if the information that he has, I don't think he's smart enough to understand anything. But he also, just can't understand how dangerous. He showed people this top secret information just so he, hey, like a brag thing, like, hey, I have access to, to top secret information. And why did he try, like everything, lie and everything else, to keep those documents? What did he intend to sell them? At least, we know that he showed them to people. Look at this. Only I have access to this top secret information, a war plan against Iran. And there's audio of them, doing that. And of course, the people that were there, they probably already have been, the FBI has already probably talked to them, and the prosecutor already has their depositions probably. I mean, it's just, what are you going to do with somebody that's as stupid as Donald Trump is, and as crazy as he is? That might be his thing to use. I'm crazy, but I don't need to be in the psychiatric hospital. You can just put me in my police. But he wouldn't stop. He would go out and tell people the stuff that he's telling now. That and there's people that I've seen, and you have too, I'm sure, if you watch some of that stuff. People being interviewed at his rallies, and they come up with everything. Okay, they'll say, well, Biden isn't really the president. That's a double. Somebody else that's there, and he's not really the president. I mean, and that isn't even the most bizarre thing that these people come up with, and they're allowed to vote. And I don't know. Uh, man, I hope this CyberLink thing, I hope I can get it to work. Uh, right now I'm happy with this setup. You know, I have other computers. I could set up a computer over here. There's no computer on this desk. And maybe the software would work, you know, with it. Another computer. But nah, I don't want to do that. I've been living here for years. I finally have this place and pretty good. It took me a while. I guess I'm not very perceptive, or wait a minute. I have the same amount of stuff in here, but before it was like I had to, you know, go through, you know. And now every time I move stuff around, each time I think, maybe this would be better here, but, you know, whatever. But right now I'm not happy with the little table that I just moved over there. And I think it could go back over there, except it was over here. I don't know. Well, let's take a quick look at CNN, see what's going on. No telling what's going on. It is hot in Texas, by the way. I think you know that. There's a father. I think there's had two stepsons with him. I think one was 10. And they went out the other day to do some hiking or something in the woods in a park in Texas Park or whatever. And the boy died, and the father died, and I don't know, you know, they went into a state park, Texas State Park, you know, it was 107 degrees, or no, they said it was 119, I believe then. There, it was 119, and I'm not sure. The only picture I saw, you know, there was, I don't know, was it a mountain or whatever, but, you know, it was a big, and so I'm not sure. It seemed like I guess you'd have to go up a lot higher before the temperature starts dropping, you know, but you know, did they not, well, they should have stayed at home. I hate to say that. And did they not take water with them? Did they not have did they not have a cell phone connection? A lot of places still don't have, you know, cell phones connections. Anyway, tragic. Okay, let's see. South Koreans. Oh, South Koreans. Okay. I was thinking it was North Korea because they're crazy. South Koreans become younger overnight after the country scraps Korean age. I don't know anything about, I knew very little about sports or anything else. Race car driver Jimmy Johnson in-laws and their 11-year-old grandson found dead in murder-suicide. Former NFL quarterback dies in an apparent drowning in Florida at age 35. Smoke from Canadians' wildfire prompts air quality warnings, beach closures, and reduces visibility in major U.S. cities. Rudy Giuliani interviewed in special counsel's 2020 election interference probe. Rudy Giuliani, his license to be a lawyer has been revoked already. Trump's been trying, or his lawyers would have been trying to get the criminal case against him moved to federal court. I forget why. He thinks it's something that he'd have some, you know. Trump's allies outraged that McCarthy says, I don't know if Trump is strongest 2024 candidate. I think he is the strongest candidate, you know, with Republicans, because the people that are running against him, now there's a whole bunch of them, they have like 2%, 3%, 4%, maybe 5%, and I think Trump's got, I don't know, 30 or 40% of the Republican, you know, people. Pickleball injuries may cost Americans nearly $400 million this year. Pickleball injuries. I have no idea what, okay. Man, I must be really old. Okay, it looks like a paddle. What do you call it when you play on the table with a little, you know? Pickleball, America's fastest growing sport, is taking a toll of players' wrist, legs, and shoulders. And it is especially popular with injury-prone seniors, which is driving up the cost burden. Pickleball injuries may cost Americans $377 million. In healthcare costs this year, accounting for 5 to 10% of the total unexpected medical cost. Wow. Let's see. Dow Jones is up. Standard & Poor's 500 is up. NASA, whatever, I think that's over. I think that's the other. I don't think that's the New York Stock Exchange. I think it's up. Oh, in case you heard about it, on the news the other day, there was someone here in Texas at a Texas airport who was sucked into an aircraft's engine and died. And I was kind of surprised. I mean, it happens, and especially like on aircraft carriers, that is extremely dangerous work that these sailors, you know, do that are working on aircraft carriers, the ones that are on the deck up there, and they have everything down, you know, to a science, but still, I'm sure you've probably seen some of the, you know, the video of somebody and being sucked into an engine. But so when I heard the other day here at a Texas, you know, commercial airport or whatever, now it's come out that it was suicide. Wow. When I worked hospital security, one of the things we had to do was, you know, for the emergency helicopter, medical helicopters landing or whatever, we had to make sure that the landing pad was okay, and we had to make sure nobody was out there, you know, in that area. We had to make sure too that, well, like I worked at one year at Lee Summit Hospital, a real small hospital, and the helicopter I think the time I was out there, the year, I think at least that I was the only one working out there. But the nurses wanted to come out and see the helicopter, so they opened up the door and they were coming out. And I told them, you need to go back inside. Well, we just want to see it. And I said, no, you need to go back inside. To be a nurse, you need your eyesight, don't you? This thing will kick up gravel and you end up blind or something. And they went back inside. But there was, and I wasn't working. I don't think I was working then. at the main hospital, Research Medical Center, you know, the helicopter emergency entrance, or not the entrance, but small parking lot. Very few parking spots there, but there was, you could go in from the street, or you could pull into that parking lot and then go into, you know, by ramp that way. And there were a few parking spaces out there, but that was also a helicopter, where the helicopter landed. And a guy, you know, a black guy was walking down the sidewalk or whatever, and I guess decided that he wanted to die, and started walking in towards, you know, the helicopter, and the security stopped him or whatever. On the back, the thing on, you know, you have the overhead, you know, the rotors. On the back, you know, the helicopter. Now some of them are, the small one on the back is enclosed in a thing. But that's the dangerous thing, because when that thing is going, you don't see that, and it's right down, you know, right, you know, whatever. So anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I don't know what I'm going to do about this thing. I just paid for it, and I hate to give up on it, and I haven't given it enough time, but it just looks like, for some reason, it's not compatible with this way things are set up here, and I do not want to make any changes, because Manicam is working okay and other things are working okay. So anyway, thanks for watching.